I sit in my car outside Morrison Logistics headquarters, the company badge Tyler Morrison just threw at my face, still burning against my cheek. 9 years I spent building this company from 20 struggling employees to the industry leader it became today, managing every critical contract and system that kept the doors open. Tyler Morrison just fired me for missing his 28th birthday dinner to handle a warehouse crisis that saved us $3 million in damages. His words still echo in my mind, "Dad may need you, but I don't." I warned him nothing would renew without my personal knowledge and authorization, but he laughed in my face like I was some powerless nobody. Now I watch through the glass windows as red alerts flood his computer screen and his secretary Ashley runs into his office screaming that our multi-million-dollar clients are already withdrawing their contracts. The memory hits me like a freight train as I watch the chaos unfold through those windows. 9 years ago, I walked into this same building as a 25-year-old junior operations coordinator with a business degree from Texas State and more determination than experience. Morrison Logistics occupied half of one floor in a rundown office complex in downtown Dallas, struggling to manage basic shipping schedules for their 12 clients. Robert Morrison, Tyler's father, hired me during his company's darkest hour. They had just lost their biggest account due to missed deliveries and were hemorrhaging money faster than they could earn it. Robert was a genuine hard-working man who built his company from nothing, driving delivery trucks himself in the early days. He saw something in me that others missed the ability to see patterns and connections that could transform chaos into order. My first week, I discovered their problems ran deeper than poor scheduling. They had no centralized system for tracking shipments, no standardized communication protocols with clients, and no backup plans for emergencies. I worked 18-hour days for months, creating entirely new operational frameworks from scratch. I designed proprietary software systems that integrated every aspect of their logistics chain, from initial client contact through final delivery confirmation. Robert gave me complete authority to rebuild everything. I negotiated exclusive partnerships with transportation networks across the Southwest, developed customized service packages that competitors couldn't match, and built personal relationships with executives at major manufacturing companies. Within 2 years, we had expanded to 3 floors and employed over 100 people. But the real transformation happened through the relationships I cultivated. I learned the names of every client's children, remembered their business anniversaries, and anticipated their needs before they articulated them. Sandra Williams at Westbridge Manufacturing trusted me with her company's most sensitive shipping requirements because I had proven my reliability during countless emergencies. Marcus Johnson at Premier Distribution gave us exclusive contracts because I had saved his quarterly reports multiple times by adjusting delivery schedules around his warehouse limitations. I built Morrison Logistics into a family, not just a business. Every employee knew they could approach me with problems, suggestions, or concerns. I instituted profit-sharing programs, flexible scheduling for parents, and professional development opportunities that transformed entry-level workers into skilled logistics specialists. Robert treated me like the daughter he never had, often saying I understood his vision better than his own son. Tyler was 23 when I started fresh out of college with a business administration degree and an attitude that money could solve any problem. Robert gradually gave him responsibilities, hoping he would develop the same passion for the company that drove us both. But Tyler resented my influence from the beginning. He saw me as an obstacle to his inheritance rather than an asset to preserve. As Robert began stepping back due to heart problems 3 years ago, Tyler started undermining my decisions and questioning my authority in front of other employees. He would override my carefully planned schedules to accommodate his personal preferences, then blame me when clients complained about delays. The birthday dinner incident was the final straw. Our Phoenix warehouse caught fire during his celebration at an upscale restaurant downtown. I had to choose between socializing with Tyler and his friends or coordinating emergency response to protect millions of dollars worth of client merchandise. I chose responsibility, working through the night to relocate inventory and maintain delivery schedules that kept 3 major accounts from suffering financial losses. Tyler saw my dedication as disrespect. The next morning, he called me into his office and fired me without explanation or severance, tossing my security badge across his desk like garbage. What he never realized was that I had embedded my personal authorization codes into every major contract renewal clause, written in legal language so complex that Tyler never bothered reading the details. Without my approval, every single contract would automatically terminate within 30 days. Now, watching him discover the scope of his mistake, I feel a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. I built something beautiful here, and his arrogance is about to destroy it all. My phone explodes with incoming calls before I even start my car engine. Tyler's name flashes on the screen repeatedly, followed by Ashley's number, then calls from department heads who understand the magnitude of what just happened. I let them all go to voicemail as I drive slowly through downtown Dallas traffic, savoring these final moments of calm before the storm reaches its full intensity. The first call I answer comes from Sandra Williams at Westbridge Manufacturing. Her voice carries the weight of 15 years in the industry and genuine concern that transcends business relationships. "Karen, honey, what in the world is happening over there? I just got a call from some assistant saying you're no longer with Morrison Logistics. Please tell me this is some kind of mistake." I pull into a coffee shop parking lot before responding. Sandra deserves honesty, not corporate double talk or diplomatic deflection. "It's true, Sandra. Tyler Morrison decided he didn't need my services anymore. I'm afraid that means your contract renewal next month is going to hit some complications." The silence on her end speaks volumes. Sandra's company ships automotive parts worth $15 million annually through our network. Her contracts contain penalty clauses that trigger automatically if service standards decline or if key personnel changes disrupt established protocols. "Karen, you know I've got 3 factories depending on your logistics coordination. My board will have my head if these shipments get delayed because some spoiled kid doesn't understand how business actually works." I understand completely, Sandra. You've got to protect your company's interests. This isn't just about business, though. You've been handling our account personally for 7 years. You know our seasonal fluctuations, our emergency protocols, our relationships with downstream buyers. Nobody else at Morrison has that knowledge. Sandra's words capture exactly what Tyler failed to grasp. Logistics isn't just about moving boxes from point A to point B. It's about understanding the intricate web of dependencies that keep entire supply chains functioning smoothly. Every client has unique requirements, special circumstances, and established relationships that took years to develop. My phone buzzes with another call while Sandra continues expressing her concerns. It's Ashley, Tyler's secretary, and her number appears with the persistence of someone experiencing genuine panic. I promise Sandra I'll call her back with more information and reluctantly answer Ashley's call. "Karen, thank God you picked up. Tyler is completely losing his mind up here. He's demanding you come back immediately and fix whatever's happening with the computer systems. Every single client status board is flashing red warnings about contract violations and renewal failures." Ashley's voice trembles with stress. She's only 26, hired 2 years ago as Tyler's assistant, despite having no logistics experience. She's smart and hardworking, but Tyler never allowed her to learn the operational details that might have helped during this crisis. Ashley, take a deep breath. What exactly is Tyler saying? He's screaming at everyone, blaming the IT department for system failures. But Marcus from IT told him the systems are working perfectly. The alerts are legitimate warnings about contracts that require personal authorization codes for renewal. Tyler keeps saying you sabotaged something, but Marcus explained that you designed these safeguards to protect the company from unauthorized changes. I have to smile at the irony. Tyler accused me of sabotage for implementing the very security measures that protected Morrison Logistics from exactly the kind of reckless decision-making he just demonstrated. Ashley, I need you to understand something important. Those authorization codes aren't a technical glitch or some kind of revenge scheme. They're legal requirements built into our contracts to ensure continuity of service. Major clients insisted on these protections after seeing other logistics companies collapse when key personnel left without proper transitions. But you can fix it, right? You can give Tyler the codes and everything goes back to normal. The desperation in Ashley's voice breaks my heart, but I can't sugarcoat the reality of the situation Tyler created. Ashley, it's not that simple. Those codes are tied to my personal certification and bonding status with our insurance providers. Even if I wanted to hand them over, which I legally cannot do after being terminated, Tyler would need months to establish the same credentials and client relationships. Before Ashley can respond, I hear Tyler's voice in the background growing closer to her desk. His tone carries the entitled rage of someone who has never faced real consequences for his actions. "Give me that phone, Karen. You get back here right now and fix this mess. Tyler, I don't work for you anymore. Remember you fired me about an hour ago. Don't give me that attitude. I know you did something to sabotage our systems. You're going to come back here and undo whatever damage you caused, or I'll sue you for everything you're worth. His threats would be amusing if they weren't so pathetically predictable. Tyler genuinely believes that intimidation can solve problems that require expertise and relationship building. Tyler, I didn't sabotage anything. I built protection systems that require proper authorization for contract renewals. Those systems are working exactly as designed to prevent unauthorized personnel from making decisions that could cost the company millions of dollars. You think you're so smart, don't you? Well, watch me fix this without you. I'll have new contracts signed by the end of the week. His confidence is staggering, but I know something Tyler doesn't. While he's been focused on throwing his weight around the office, I've been receiving text messages from other clients who heard about my departure through industry networks that move information faster than official announcements. My phone buzzes with another call just as Tyler continues his rant. The caller ID shows Global Tech Solutions, Morrison's largest client with contracts worth $30 million annually. Their CEO, David Chen, is calling my personal number rather than the company line, which means he's heard rumors and wants straight answers. Tyler, I need to take this call, but you should know that the cascade effect is just beginning. Each contract that terminates triggers penalty clauses in related agreements. Your decision to fire me isn't just losing individual clients. It's going to unravel the entire network I spent 9 years building. I hang up on Tyler's sputtering protests and answer David's call, knowing that this conversation will determine whether Morrison Logistics survives the week or becomes another cautionary tale about the dangers of incompetent leadership. David Chen's voice carries the measured tone of a CEO who has built Global Tech Solutions from a startup into a Fortune 500 company. Unlike Tyler, David understands that successful businesses depend on competent people, not just impressive titles. Karen, I'm calling because I just heard some disturbing rumors about changes at Morrison Logistics. My operations director says you're no longer with the company. Please tell me this isn't true. I find myself in the impossible position of being honest with a client while protecting the company that just fired me. Professional integrity demands truth, but human compassion makes me want to soften the blow that will devastate Morrison's remaining employees. It's true, David. Tyler Morrison terminated my employment this morning. I'm afraid that means your contract renewal next month will require renegotiation with new personnel who may not be familiar with your specific requirements. The silence stretches for nearly 30 seconds. David's company ships electronic components to manufacturers across North America with delivery schedules so precise that a single day's delay can shut down entire production lines. His trust in Morrison Logistics rests entirely on my personal guarantee that his shipments receive priority handling during peak seasons. Karen, you know our Q4 surge starts next week. We've got $12 million worth of components moving through your network between now and Christmas. My production managers are already freaking out about supply chain disruptions. And now you're telling me the one person who understands our logistics requirements is no longer available. I understand your concerns, David. You need to protect your company's interests. This isn't just about business relationships, Karen. Your team has prevented 3 major production shutdowns in the past 2 years by rerouting shipments around weather delays and transportation strikes. Tyler Morrison doesn't even know our account exists, much less understand the complexity of our distribution network. David's assessment is brutally accurate. Tyler has never bothered learning about Global Tech's requirements because their account seemed routine and profitable. He never understood that routine operations require constant vigilance and expert coordination to maintain their appearance of simplicity. David, I think you should schedule a meeting with Tyler as soon as possible to discuss transition plans. Transition plans. Karen, there is no transition plan that doesn't include you. I'm not risking my company's production schedule on some untested replacement who needs months to learn what you already know. Before I can respond, David delivers the blow that will finish Morrison Logistics. I'm terminating our contract effective immediately. My legal department is already reviewing breach of contract provisions for compensation. When key personnel changes disrupt established service agreements, we have the right to demand immediate termination without penalty. My heart sinks as David continues explaining Global Tech's position. Their contract termination will trigger a cascade of consequences that Tyler never anticipated. Global Tech's shipping volume represents nearly 40% of Morrison's transportation capacity during peak seasons. Losing that volume will force Morrison to break commitments with smaller clients who depend on shared transportation resources. David, I appreciate your honesty. You're making the right decision for your company. Karen, I want you to know that Global Tech would be very interested in working with you if you decide to start your own logistics firm or join a competitor. Your expertise is too valuable to waste because some privileged kid doesn't understand what he's throwing away. After hanging up with David, I drive slowly back toward Morrison's headquarters. Not because Tyler asked me to return, but because I need to collect my personal belongings before this situation spirals completely out of control. I also want to warn the employees who trusted me that they should start updating their resumes. The parking lot tells the story before I even enter the building. Several client representatives are walking to their cars with expressions of frustration and disappointment. Inside the lobby, I can hear raised voices echoing from the executive floor, punctuated by the constant ringing of phones that nobody seems able to answer effectively. Ashley meets me at the elevator with red eyes and a stack of message slips that represents the company's death spiral in real time. Karen, it's getting worse every minute. 3 more clients have called demanding immediate meetings with Tyler, but he's locked himself in his office, refusing to see anyone. The warehouse supervisor in Phoenix called asking why shipment authorizations are being rejected by our computer systems. Even the cleaning crew is asking questions because they can hear Tyler yelling through his door. The elevator ride to the executive floor feels like ascending to the scene of a natural disaster. Department heads cluster around the reception area, speaking in hushed tones about rumors and speculation. When they see me, their expressions shift from despair to desperate hope, as if my presence might somehow reverse the damage Tyler has inflicted. Karen, thank goodness you're here. Marcus Williams from IT approaches with printouts that document the systematic collapse of our operational infrastructure. Tyler keeps insisting that our computer systems are malfunctioning, but every alert is legitimate. Contract renewal deadlines are approaching, and the authorization protocols you established are working exactly as programmed. Marcus worked with me to design those security systems 3 years ago, after a competitor lost millions of dollars, when a disgruntled employee deleted critical client data during his exit interview. Our safeguards prevent unauthorized changes to contract terms, shipping schedules, and billing arrangements. Marcus, you need to understand that those security protocols can't be overridden or transferred without proper documentation and approval from our bonding insurance company. Even if Tyler wanted to make changes, the process would take weeks of legal review. But he's demanding that we disable all security measures immediately. He says the company can't operate with these restrictions. Marcus's confusion reflects a fundamental misunderstanding that Tyler shares. Those security measures don't restrict normal operations. They prevent unauthorized access to sensitive systems that could destroy client relationships and violate federal transportation regulations. Before I can explain further, Tyler's office door flies open and he storms toward us with the wild-eyed rage of someone whose sense of entitlement has collided with reality. Karen, what did you do to our computer systems? Every client is calling with complaints about contract problems, and now our insurance company is demanding some kind of certification review. Tyler, I didn't do anything to the computer systems. They're working exactly as designed to protect the company from unauthorized changes to critical contracts. Don't give me that technical nonsense. I own this company and I can authorize whatever changes I want. His declaration reveals the depth of his misunderstanding. Tyler may own shares in Morrison Logistics, but ownership doesn't automatically grant him the expertise or legal authority to manage specialized transportation contracts that require federal licensing and bonding. Tyler ownership and operational authority are 2 different things. Our clients chose Morrison Logistics because they trusted specific personnel to handle their accounts with expertise and reliability. When that personnel changes, the contracts require renegotiation to ensure continuity of service. I don't need your lectures. I need you to fix whatever you broke. Before I can respond to Tyler's latest accusation, Ashley answers her phone with increasing panic in her voice. Mr. Morrison, that's our insurance company calling back. They're saying something about policy cancellation and immediate coverage termination. Tyler's face turns pale as Ashley puts the call on speaker. The insurance representative's voice fills the reception area with news that will finish what Tyler started. This is Jennifer Walsh from Nationwide Commercial Insurance. We're calling to inform Morrison Logistics that your policy is being canceled, effective immediately due to fraudulent safety reporting and unauthorized changes to operational protocols. Tyler grabs the phone from Ashley with trembling hands. What are you talking about? We've never filed fraudulent reports. Mr. Morrison, our investigation shows that safety inspection reports filed last month contain falsified information about warehouse conditions and transportation protocols. These reports contradict the accurate documentation previously submitted by Karen Blake, your former operations director. My blood runs cold as I realize what happened. Tyler had insisted on reviewing all safety reports before submission, claiming he wanted to understand operational details better. Apparently, he had been altering my accurate assessments to avoid paying for necessary repairs and upgrades. This is a misunderstanding. I can explain everything. Mr. Morrison, falsifying safety reports is a federal crime that voids our coverage immediately. Without insurance, your transportation licenses are suspended and all active contracts are automatically terminated. We're reporting this matter to the Department of Transportation for further investigation. The silence that follows Jennifer's announcement feels like the moment after a building collapses when the dust hasn't settled, but everyone knows the destruction is complete. Tyler drops the phone and stares at the assembled staff with the bewildered expression of someone who finally understands the magnitude of his mistakes. Ashley breaks the silence with a whispered question that captures everyone's thoughts. What happens to us now? Before anyone can answer, my phone rings with a call that will determine whether Morrison Logistics survives the next 24 hours or becomes another failed business story. The caller ID shows Robert Morrison's number, and my stomach tightens with dread. Robert is supposed to be enjoying his retirement in Sarasota, Florida, after decades of building the company that his son just destroyed in a single morning. Someone must have told him about the crisis. Karen, please tell me what I'm hearing isn't true. Jack Peterson from Reliable Transport just called saying our insurance got canceled and half our clients are jumping ship. What in God's name is happening up there? Robert's voice carries the exhaustion of a man who sacrificed his health to build something meaningful, only to watch it crumble because of his son's arrogance. I find myself in the impossible position of explaining Tyler's failures to the father who trusted his legacy to someone so fundamentally unfit for leadership. Robert, I'm sorry you're hearing about this secondhand. Tyler terminated my employment this morning and the consequences have been severe. He fired you for what possible reason? The pain in Robert's voice makes this conversation even more difficult. He knows that firing me is equivalent to burning down everything he spent 40 years building. He said the company didn't need my services anymore. He seemed to believe that ownership automatically grants expertise. Karen, I need you to listen carefully. I'm flying back to Dallas tonight and I'm calling an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. Don't sign anything with any competitors until we talk. Whatever Tyler did, we're going to fix it. Robert, I appreciate your confidence, but some of this damage might be irreversible. Global Tech Solutions has already terminated their contract. Westbridge Manufacturing is threatening legal action, and our insurance company canceled our policy due to falsified safety reports. The silence stretches for nearly a minute before Robert responds with the controlled fury of a man who built his company on integrity and honesty. Falsified safety reports, Karen, please tell me Tyler didn't actually alter the documentation you prepared. I'm afraid he did. The insurance investigator says the reports he submitted contradict the accurate assessments I filed internally. That idiot! Those safety standards aren't suggestions, they're federal requirements. Falsifying reports is a felony that could send him to prison. Robert's assessment proves accurate when 3 black sedans pull into Morrison's parking lot and 6 people in FBI windbreakers enter the building. Tyler's safety report alterations apparently triggered a federal investigation into transportation fraud, which carries penalties severe enough to destroy both his freedom and any remaining hope of company survival. The board meeting that evening feels like a funeral for a business that died of completely preventable causes. 5 investors who trusted Robert's judgment and Tyler's promises sit around the conference table with expressions ranging from fury to heartbreak. Tyler sits alone at one end, finally understanding that his inheritance has become a legal nightmare. Board member Patricia Hendricks speaks for everyone when she addresses Tyler with barely controlled rage. Young man, I invested $2 million in this company because your father built it on principles of excellence and integrity. In one morning, you've managed to destroy 40 years of reputation and expose us all to criminal liability. I didn't know about the insurance implications. Karen never explained the legal requirements. Tyler's attempt to blame me for his criminal behavior draws angry responses from every board member. These are experienced business people who understand that ignorance doesn't excuse fraud. Board member James Crawford leans forward with the intensity of a prosecutor. Tyler Karen Blake filed accurate safety reports for 9 years. You chose to alter those reports to avoid spending money on necessary repairs. That's not ignorance, that's deliberate fraud. I was trying to save the company money. You were trying to inflate profit margins by hiding safety violations. Do you have any idea what federal prison sentences look like for transportation fraud? Tyler's face goes white as the reality of his legal situation becomes clear. Falsifying federal safety reports isn't a civil matter that money can resolve. It's a criminal offense that sends people to prison for years. Robert finally speaks, and his voice carries the sadness of a father forced to choose between his son and the employees who depend on his company for their livelihoods. Tyler, you're going to resign from all positions effective immediately. The board will vote on emergency leadership while we try to salvage whatever remains of this company. Dad, you can't do this to me. It's my inheritance. Son, your inheritance is worthless if the company doesn't exist. Right now, our only hope is convincing Karen to help us rebuild what you destroyed. All eyes turn to me, and I feel the weight of dozens of employee families who will lose their jobs if Morrison Logistics fails. These people trusted me to protect their interests, and Tyler's actions have put them all at risk. Robert, I'll do whatever I can to help the employees, but we need to be realistic about the challenges we're facing. Even if we resolve the insurance issues and legal problems, most of our major clients have already committed to other logistics providers. Karen, what would it take to bring them back? Before I can answer, Ashley bursts into the conference room with news that changes everything. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there are FBI agents here with a warrant. They're seizing all computer records and financial documents. They want to speak with Tyler immediately. Tyler's arrest happens with the efficiency of law enforcement professionals who have handled hundreds of white-collar crime cases. As the agents lead him away in handcuffs, he finally grasps the magnitude of his mistakes, but understanding comes too late to prevent the consequences. Robert collapses into his chair with the devastated expression of a man watching his life's work disappear because of his son's criminal stupidity. Karen, I know I have no right to ask this after what Tyler put you through, but these people need jobs. Is there any way to save this company? Looking at the faces around that table, board members who invested their savings, employees who trusted their futures to Morrison Logistics, and Robert, who sacrificed his health to build something meaningful. I realize that Tyler's arrest might actually create the opportunity we need to rebuild properly. Robert, if the board is willing to make some dramatic changes, there might be a way forward. But it will require complete restructuring and a commitment to transparency that Tyler would never have accepted. For the first time since this nightmare began, I see hope flickering in Robert's eyes. 3 days after Tyler's arrest, the scope of his criminal activity becomes clear through FBI disclosures and employee testimonials that paint a picture of systematic fraud and abuse. Special Agent Linda Rodriguez explains the charges during a meeting with our attorneys. Mr. Morrison's crimes go far beyond falsified safety reports. We've uncovered evidence of embezzlement, wire fraud, and conspiracy to defraud federal transportation agencies. He was systematically stealing from company accounts while hiding safety violations that endangered public welfare. The financial records seized by the FBI reveal Tyler's elaborate scheme to drain company resources while maintaining the appearance of profitability. He had been transferring money to personal accounts through fake consulting contracts and inflated vendor payments, then covering the shortfalls by cutting essential maintenance and safety expenditures. Agent Rodriguez, how long has this been going on? Robert asks with the weary voice of someone discovering that his son's betrayal runs deeper than anyone imagined. Our analysis suggests the embezzlement started approximately 18 months ago, shortly after Mr. Morrison gained access to company financial systems. The safety report falsifications began about 6 months ago, when insurance inspections identified violations that would have cost significant money to correct. Ashley sits beside me during this briefing, and I notice her hands shaking as Agent Rodriguez describes the evidence. She looks like someone carrying a terrible secret, and I realize she might know more about Tyler's activities than she initially revealed. Ashley, is there something you need to tell Agent Rodriguez? Her composure finally breaks, and tears stream down her face as she pulls out a thick folder that she's been clutching since the meeting began. I've been documenting everything Tyler did for the past 6 months. Every time he altered a report, every time he threatened an employee, every time he transferred money without proper authorization. I was scared he was going to blame me for his mistakes, so I kept copies of everything. Agent Rodriguez accepts Ashley's folder with the professional appreciation of an investigator who understands the value of insider documentation. The records Ashley compiled provide a day-by-day account of Tyler's criminal activities, complete with emails, altered documents, and recorded phone conversations. Ms. Parker, these records are extremely valuable. Why didn't you report this activity sooner? Ashley's answer reflects the difficult position many employees face when confronting powerful supervisors who control their livelihoods. I tried talking to Tyler about the safety violations, but he threatened to fire me and ruin my reputation in the industry. I was just trying to protect myself and gather enough evidence to prove I wasn't involved in his schemes. Ms. Parker, your cooperation has been invaluable. These documents provide the evidence we need to ensure Mr. Morrison faces appropriate penalties for his crimes. After the FBI meeting, Ashley and I sit in my car outside the federal building, both emotionally drained by the revelation of Tyler's systematic criminality. I realized that her position as Tyler's secretary gave her a front-row view of his transformation from entitled heir to dangerous criminal. Ashley, you showed incredible courage by documenting all of that evidence. Most people would have been too scared to take those risks. Karen, I couldn't just watch him destroy everything you built. All those employees trusted you to protect their jobs, and Tyler was stealing their futures to fund his luxury lifestyle. Ashley's words reveal another dimension of Tyler's crimes that the FBI investigation might not fully capture. Beyond the legal violations and financial theft, Tyler betrayed the trust of every person who depended on Morrison Logistics for their livelihood. Ashley, there's something I need to tell you. During the board meeting last night, Robert offered me the position of CEO with full authority to restructure the company. I haven't given him an answer yet because I wanted to understand the complete scope of the legal problems. What are you thinking? I'm thinking that Tyler's arrest might actually give us the opportunity to rebuild Morrison Logistics the right way. Without his interference, we could implement the employee protection programs and ethical standards that he always blocked. Ashley's expression shifts from despair to cautious optimism as she considers the possibilities that Tyler's absence might create. Karen, do you really think the clients would come back after everything that's happened? Some of them might, especially if we can demonstrate that the problems were caused by one person's criminal behavior rather than systemic company failures. David Chen from Global Tech Solutions called me yesterday asking about the investigation's progress. What did you tell him? I told him the truth, that Tyler's crimes were being prosecuted and that the company was implementing new leadership focused on integrity and transparency. My phone rings with another call from a former client, and I realize that news of Tyler's arrest is spreading through industry networks faster than official announcements. Sandra Williams from Westbridge Manufacturing sounds cautiously hopeful when I answer her call. Karen, honey, I just heard that Tyler Morrison got arrested by the FBI. Is it true that all those problems were caused by his criminal activity? Sandra, I can't discuss the details of an ongoing federal investigation, but I can tell you that the company is implementing new leadership and policies designed to prevent any repetition of recent problems. Karen, if you take over that company and clean house properly, Westbridge would be very interested in resuming our relationship. You've got a reputation for honesty that Tyler obviously didn't inherit from his father. After hanging up with Sandra, I look at Ashley with growing confidence that rebuilding Morrison Logistics isn't just possible, it's necessary to protect the innocent employees and clients who suffered because of Tyler's criminal selfishness. Ashley, I think I'm going to accept Robert's offer, but I want you to consider something important. How would you feel about becoming operations manager? You've proven you have the integrity and courage needed for leadership positions. Ashley's surprise gives way to pride as she realizes that her decision to document Tyler's crimes has earned her the opportunity for real professional advancement. Karen, I would be honored to work with you. Let's rebuild this company the right way. As we shake hands outside the federal building, I feel the first genuine optimism I've experienced since Tyler threw my badge across his desk 4 days ago. His attempt to destroy my career has actually created the opportunity to build something better than what existed before. 6 weeks after Tyler's arrest, Morrison Logistics begins its transformation from a crime scene into a model of ethical business practices. The federal investigation has concluded with Tyler facing 17 felony charges that will likely send him to prison for 8 to 12 years. More importantly, for our purposes, the investigation cleared the company of institutional wrongdoing and verified that Tyler's crimes were personal rather than systemic. My first day as CEO begins with a staff meeting that includes every employee from warehouse workers to department managers. These are the people who suffered under Tyler's leadership, and they deserve complete transparency about our plans for the future. Everyone here has experienced the consequences of poor leadership and criminal behavior. Today, we start rebuilding Morrison Logistics based on principles that Tyler never understood: integrity, respect, and shared success. The response from our employees exceeds my expectations. People who had been quietly updating their resumes and planning career changes suddenly show renewed enthusiasm for their work. Marcus from IT approaches me after the meeting with suggestions for improving our security systems, while Sarah from Accounts Receivable presents ideas for better client communication protocols. "Karen, it feels like a completely different company already," Sarah tells me with genuine relief. For the first time in months, people are talking about solutions instead of complaining about problems. "Sarah, that's exactly what we want." Tyler created an environment where people were afraid to suggest improvements or report problems. We're going to build a culture where everyone's expertise is valued and utilized. The insurance situation resolves more quickly than anticipated once Nationwide Commercial verifies that Tyler's falsified reports were criminal actions rather than company policy. Our new policy includes enhanced coverage that actually costs less than Tyler's previous arrangement because of our improved safety record and transparent reporting procedures. Rebuilding client relationships requires personal attention and demonstrable changes that prove Morrison Logistics has addressed the problems that caused their departure. My strategy involves individual meetings with former clients to explain the leadership changes and present our new operational procedures. David Chen from Global Tech Solutions agrees to meet with me at his corporate headquarters in Austin, giving me the opportunity to present our reformed company to our largest former client. "Karen, I'll be honest with you. Global Tech lost approximately $400,000 in expedited shipping costs and production delays because of Morrison's contract breach. My board is understandably skeptical about resuming any relationship with your company." "David, I completely understand your board's concerns. Let me show you the changes we've implemented to ensure that Tyler's criminal behavior could never happen again." I present a comprehensive package that includes new insurance policies with third-party oversight, employee protection programs that encourage reporting of safety violations, and transparent accounting procedures that prevent unauthorized financial transfers. "David, we've also implemented client advisory councils that give major customers direct input into our operational procedures. Your account would have dedicated personnel who report directly to me with quarterly reviews that include your operations managers." David reviews our proposals with the careful attention of someone who has been burned by poor vendor relationships, but recognizes genuine value when it's presented professionally. "Karen, this level of transparency and accountability is actually better than what we had before Tyler's problems surfaced. If you can guarantee these standards, Global Tech would be willing to start with a limited trial period." "David, I appreciate your willingness to give us a second chance. How about we start with your Q1 shipments and expand based on performance? Our handshake agreement represents more than restored business. It validates our approach of earning trust through demonstrated competence rather than demanding it based on past relationships." Sandra Williams from Westbridge Manufacturing proves even more enthusiastic about our reformation, agreeing to resume full operations immediately after reviewing our new procedures. "Karen, honey, this is the company I thought I was working with all along. Tyler's problems were like a cancer, but you've cut out the diseased parts and built something stronger." Within 2 months of Tyler's arrest, Morrison Logistics has recovered 70% of its former client base and attracted 3 new major accounts drawn by our reputation for ethical practices and transparent operations. Our revenue exceeds pre-crisis levels because clients are willing to pay premium rates for reliability and integrity. The employee transformation proves even more dramatic than our client recovery. Ashley's promotion to operations manager inspires other young employees who previously saw no advancement opportunities under Tyler's leadership. Marcus leads a technology upgrade project that improves our efficiency by 30% while reducing operational costs. Robert splits his time between Florida retirement and Dallas advisory meetings, expressing amazement at the positive changes that emerged from his son's criminal destruction. "Karen, I built this company over 40 years, but I never created the kind of positive culture you've established in 2 months. These people are genuinely excited about their work in a way I haven't seen since the early days. Robert, the foundation you built was always solid. Tyler's problems were like a storm that knocked down trees but didn't damage the underlying soil. We just needed to clear away the debris and plant new growth." The most satisfying moment comes when I receive a letter from the Department of Transportation commending Morrison Logistics for our exemplary safety practices and voluntary reporting procedures. The same agency that investigated Tyler's crimes now recognizes our company as a model for industry best practices. 3 months after Tyler's arrest, I stand in the conference room where the board voted to make me CEO and realize that his attempt to destroy my career has actually created something better than what existed before. Morrison Logistics employs more people, serves more clients, and operates with higher standards than ever in its history. Ashley joins me at the window overlooking our expanded warehouse facilities, where workers prepare shipments for clients who trust our reformed company with their most important logistics requirements. Karen, do you think Tyler ever realizes what he threw away? Ashley, I hope prison gives him time to understand that real power comes from building people up, not tearing them down. Maybe someday he'll learn the difference between authority and leadership. Our conversation is interrupted by a call from a potential client in California who heard about our reputation for ethical practices and wants to discuss a major shipping contract. As I prepare to take another step forward in our continuing growth, I realize that Tyler's greatest failure has become the foundation for our greatest success. 1 year after Tyler Morrison threw my badge across his desk and laughed at my warning, I stand in the lobby of Morrison Blake Logistics, watching our employees prepare for the company's largest client appreciation event in its 42-year history. The building that once echoed with Tyler's angry shouting now buzzes with the productive energy of people who believe in their work and trust their leadership. The bronze nameplate beside the entrance reflects our new partnership structure, with Robert maintaining founder status, while I hold majority ownership earned through the successful restructuring that saved everyone's jobs. Ashley has been promoted to Vice President of Operations, becoming one of the youngest executive team members in our industry's history. Karen, the final headcount is in. Ashley reports with the confident professionalism she's developed over the past year. We've got representatives from 38 client companies, including 6 new accounts that specifically chose us because of our reputation for ethical practices. The transformation still amazes me sometimes. Morrison Logistics went from near bankruptcy to industry leadership, not despite Tyler's criminal behavior, but because his absence allowed us to implement the values-based culture that creates sustainable success. Our employee retention rate approaches 98%, while our client satisfaction scores rank highest in the Southwest Transportation Network. Robert approaches us with a newspaper clipping that captures the final chapter of Tyler's story. The Dallas Business Journal published their analysis of Tyler's sentencing: 11 years in federal prison, full restitution to the company, and permanent prohibition from holding executive positions in transportation companies. How do you feel about that, Robert? Sad for the son I thought I raised, but grateful that his victims received justice. Tyler had every advantage in life, but he chose to steal from people who worked honestly for their wages. The evening celebration includes recognition ceremonies for employees who demonstrated exceptional performance during our rebuilding year. Marcus receives our inaugural Technology Innovation Award for designing security systems that prevent the kind of fraud Tyler committed. Sarah from Accounts Receivable earns our Client Relations Excellence Award for maintaining customer relationships during our most difficult period. But the most meaningful recognition goes to Ashley, who receives our newly established Integrity and Courage Award for risking her career to document evidence that ensured Tyler's prosecution and protected innocent employees from false accusations. Ashley's decision to gather evidence instead of remaining silent exemplifies the character we want to encourage in every employee, I tell our assembled guests. Creating an environment where people feel safe reporting problems and suggesting improvements isn't just good business, it's essential for maintaining the trust our clients place in us. David Chen from Global Tech Solutions responds to my remarks with an announcement that surprises everyone. Morrison Blake Logistics has become our primary transportation provider, not just in Texas, but across our entire North American distribution network. Their commitment to transparency and reliability has earned them contracts worth over $50 million annually. The applause from our employees reflects genuine pride in accomplishments that belong to everyone who contributed to our recovery. These aren't just jobs anymore, they're careers in a company that values integrity over short-term profits. Sandra Williams from Westbridge Manufacturing adds her own testimonial about the changes she's witnessed. I've worked with logistics providers for 20 years, and I've never seen a company implement client feedback as effectively as Morrison Blake. They don't just promise excellent service, they deliver it consistently and improve it continuously. As the evening progresses, I find myself reflecting on the journey that brought us to this point. Tyler's attempt to humiliate and destroy me actually created the opportunity to build something more meaningful than I could have imagined. His criminal selfishness became the catalyst for positive changes that benefit everyone connected to our company. The most profound satisfaction comes from knowing that our success protects and supports the families who depend on Morrison Blake Logistics for their livelihoods. Tyler saw employees as expenses to be minimized, but we've proven that investing in people creates the foundation for sustainable growth and profitability. Near the end of the evening, a young logistics coordinator named Jennifer approaches me with the kind of question that validates everything we've built. "Ms. Blake, I just graduated from college with a supply chain management degree. Would it be possible to schedule an informational interview about career development opportunities here?" "Jennifer, I'd be happy to discuss your career goals. We're always looking for people who want to grow with our company." Her enthusiasm reminds me of my own excitement 26 years ago when I started building my career in logistics. The difference is that Jennifer enters an industry where ethical companies like ours demonstrate that success doesn't require compromising integrity or exploiting employees. As our guests prepare to leave, Robert pulls me aside for a conversation that brings our year-long journey full circle. "Karen, I want you to know that watching you rebuild this company has been the most rewarding experience of my business career. You've created something better than what I originally built. Robert, your foundation made everything else possible. Tyler couldn't destroy the core values you established, he could only distract from them temporarily. Karen, I hope you realize that Tyler's biggest failure wasn't the embezzlement or the safety violations. His biggest failure was not recognizing your value and treating you with the respect you deserved." Robert's words capture the essential lesson that emerged from this entire experience. True leadership isn't about commanding obedience through fear or inherited authority. It's about earning respect through competence, integrity, and genuine concern for other people's welfare. 6 months later, as I review our annual performance reports showing record profits and industry-leading employee satisfaction scores, I receive an unexpected letter from Tyler's federal prison. After a year of silence, he has written to apologize and acknowledge the damage his behavior caused to everyone connected to Morrison Logistics. His letter expresses genuine remorse for the pain he inflicted and gratitude that I protected the employees from the consequences of his criminal choices. More importantly, it demonstrates that prison has given him the time and perspective needed to understand the difference between privilege and responsibility. I write back with forgiveness and encouragement for his personal growth because healing benefits everyone involved. Tyler's letter can't undo the damage he caused, but it shows that people can change when they face honest consequences for their actions. The letter also includes a request that touches my heart. Tyler asks me to tell Ashley that her courage in documenting his crimes probably prevented him from committing even worse violations that could have resulted in transportation accidents and loss of life. Ashley's response to Tyler's message reflects the wisdom she's gained through surviving his abuse and building her own successful career. I'm glad he finally understands what really happened, but I'm more grateful for the opportunity to help build something positive from the wreckage he created. Today, Morrison Blake Logistics operates with the values that Tyler never understood, but that sustain every truly successful organization. We treat employees as valuable partners whose contributions deserve recognition and reward. We serve clients with transparency and reliability that builds long-term relationships rather than pursuing short-term profits that destroy trust. Most importantly, we've proven that ethical leadership isn't just morally right. It's more profitable than the criminal shortcuts that sent Tyler to prison. Companies built on integrity attract better employees, serve clients more effectively, and create sustainable success that enriches everyone involved. Standing in the office where Tyler once threw my badge and laughed at my warnings, I realized that his cruelty became the greatest gift he could have given me. His attempt to destroy my career forced me to discover strengths I didn't know I possessed and create opportunities that exceeded my original ambitions. The morning that felt like the end of my professional life actually became the beginning of something far more meaningful than I could have imagined. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the catalyst for the best thing that could happen to everyone whose lives you have the privilege to influence. Have you ever experienced a moment when someone's attempt to hurt you actually opened doors to better opportunities? I'd love to hear about times when you turned betrayal into triumph or found strength you didn't know you possessed. Your stories inspire others who might be facing their own workplace challenges or dealing with people who don't recognize their value. Please like this video if you believe that integrity and hard work eventually overcome selfishness and cruelty. Subscribe to hear more stories about people who refuse to let others define their worth or limit their potential. Share this story with anyone who needs encouragement to stand up for their values, even when doing the right thing seems difficult or risky. Thank you for listening to my journey from humiliation to triumph. Remember that your worth isn't determined by how others treat you, but by how you choose to respond when life tests your character and resilience. Sometimes the greatest victories come from the ashes of our most painful defeats.